Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about things to expect from me in 2019. In 2019, it is my plan to start working on the sequels to Blinding Night and Between the Sea and Stars. I gotta tap into the creativity. I gotta tap into it. Now, if you haven't read Between the Sea and Stars, I have to implore you to not watch this segment because I don't want you to be spoiled by what happens in the first book. So I definitely plan on working on the next segment of Between the Sea and Stars. Lena and Soren are going to be facing a whole new set of obstacles. All obstacles that definitely include Lord Jarl and Jace. Jace is going to be returning in this book as a very different character, and Lord Jarl is only going to be darker. Lena and Soren are going to have to destroy the magical shell that once belonged to the Marrow Queen. And while Edwin won't exactly be in the book physically, Edwin is going to be leaving certain things behind for Lena and Soren to discover and help in their quest of destroying the magical shell, saving the Marrow people from Lord Jarl, and also keeping all of the humans safe on land. It's a big undertaking. If you haven't actually read this book yet, I definitely invite you to go check it out now. I will have a link down below where you can find this book. It's available online for you to buy, not only an ebook, but also paperback as well. And it just recently came out as an audiobook, which was beautifully narrated by Dulcie Webb. I definitely have to recommend that you go check out the audiobook right now. You will not regret it. It is a beautiful book to listen to, if I do say so myself. Go do it. Go do it. My next book that I plan on working on is the sequel to Blinding Night. Blinding Night is a Greek mythology paranormal romance story. This story is about a girl named Summer who finds herself completely enveloped in the world of Greek mythology, Greek gods and goddesses alike. Lord of the underworld, Hades, or in my story, his human name is Darce, searches through centuries of time in hopes of finding his beloved Persephone, who has been reincarnated into several different women over the span of time. And again, if you have not read this book, I really have to implore that you do not continue watching this, that you come back after you read Blinding Night to find out what I plan to do in 2019 with the sequel. So in the sequel of Blinding Night, I hope to take Summer to Mount Olympus, as at the end of the book, Summer has been basically summoned by Hermes and her mother Demeter to Mount Olympus. Now, Mount Olympus is going to be a place that is almost like Versailles. Think of gold and marbles and elegant simplicity, and that is Mount Olympus in my brain. So Summer, Morpheus, and Darce are going to end up going to Mount Olympus, and from there her story will continue. Now, in the first book, Blinding Night, Darce was actually being manipulated by, we'll call her a nymph. Her name was Minth. She threatened to go tell Demeter and Zeus that Summer, spoiler, was Persephone. When Summer and Darce kind of tell her where to stick it at the very end of this book, Minth runs to Mount Olympus, just as she said she was going to do. So when Summer and Darce actually end up going to Mount Olympus, they have a lot of explaining to do, or really Darce does. Mount Olympus is actually going to serve as an opportunity for Morpheus to become better friends with Summer and kind of delve into his relationship that he had with Persephone and the possible relationship that he hopes to have with Summer.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Oops. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to involve a love triangle or a love square, because you know how Greek gods are. Zeus. I'm not exactly sure where this book is going to go, but I do know that I plan on writing the sequel to Blinding Night in 2019. There's to that. My last work in progress is actually a story that I'm co-authoring with the amazing Amanda Wright. This story is called The Shrike and the Shadows, and it is actually a very dark retelling of Hansel and Gretel. And I'm sure you're all wondering, how can you write a very dark retelling of Hansel and Gretel? It's literally about two kids who go into the woods, leave a trail of breadcrumbs that get eaten by birds, basically end up in a witch's gingerbread house, and almost get eaten by a witch. Well, my fellow readers and writers, let me tell ya. So Amanda and I are actually writing a very mature story. Hansel and Gretel are actually Hans and Greta. They are twins and they have endured quite a lot of loss in their life. Both their mother and their father have passed away in two very traumatic ways. They live in the village called Crumb, where a witch is slowly killing off the men of the village. And each day or each morning that the Shrike has whisked a man away or a boy away, because our witch does not discriminate against age, she will leave a little sack of a bloody heart at your doorway. Yeah, I know, it's dark. So there's a priest in the village who doesn't necessarily believe in the Shrike as being a real, tangible person, but really wants to blame the women of the village for this horrible event that just takes place quite often. Greta unfortunately gets tangled up in this witch hunt, which forces Hans and Greta to leave Crumb. They're ultimately kicked out of their own village and are forced to enter the Shrike's woods. Not exactly a place where you want to be, especially if you're Hans. Now, without giving too much away, Hans had already had a experience with the Shrike in which Greta was actually fortunate enough to have woken up and saved his sorry butt. So Greta and Hans end up in the woods trying to find their way out, trying to find a safe place to go. They come across a man named Baron who has some very mysterious ties to the Shrike and the woods. And there might be a romance that blossoms between Greta and Baron because duh. If I'm involved in this project, there's gotta be some romance. Amanda is actually a fantastic writer, and I feel really privileged to be writing with her, and I can't wait for you to read it. I can't wait for you to read Amanda's writing. It's amazing. So that's all for today in my what to expect from me in 2019. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos from me, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and until the next time, I'll catch you later.